Yeah. And I think that's why you're reacting so strongly to these old screenshots, not because of the screenshots themselves. They're just one thread. What you're really seeing is a pattern that stretches back far beyond your husband. When you say, open quote, it's not normal, not the 10 years here and not what happened at home, close quote. I think that's an important realization because for a long time, normal wasn't something you could compare against. Whatever environment you're raised in becomes the baseline. If criticism, blame, disrespect, emotional neglect, or being used are the air you've always breathed, then you don't walk around thinking, open quote, this is unhealthy, close quote. You think, open quote, this is how life is, close quote. And if that starts very early, it can shape everything that comes after, not in a mystical way, more like a lens. You learn to doubt yourself first, to explain away other people's behavior, to carry responsibility that isn't yours, to work harder for scraps of approval, to assume problems begin with you. Then every new relationship gets filtered through that lens. That doesn't mean every bad thing in your life came from childhood. It doesn't mean your husband is just a replay of your family. But when a person spends decades being taught, directly or indirectly, open quote, your needs matter less. Your feelings are wrong. You're the problem, close quote. They become vulnerable to absorbing that message again from other people. And what I hear in your words isn't self-pity. It's grief. Not just grief for the baby or the marriage or one argument, grief for how much of your life was spent carrying beliefs about yourself that may never have been true. That's a heavy thing to look at. The part I'd be careful with is this, open quote, everything after just amplified for 44 years, close quote. I understand why it feels that way, but I don't think the story is only amplification, because if it were only amplification, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Something else happened too. At some point, you started questioning the script. At some point, you stopped automatically believing every accusation. At some point, you started saying, open quote, wait, is that actually true? Yeah, close quote. That's not amplification. That's the beginning of separation. The old beliefs are still there, but they're no longer the only voice in the room. And that can be painful because it means looking back and realizing how much you endured. But it also means you're no longer trapped inside the same story without noticing it. When I read your message, I don't hear someone who is finally becoming broken by 44 years. I hear someone who is finally seeing 44 years more clearly than before. And seeing clearly can hurt, but it's different from being blind to it. One thing I keep coming back to is this: you don't sound confused anymore. You sound sad, angry, reflective, exhausted sometimes, but not confused. Years ago, a lot of your energy seems to have gone into asking, open quote, what's wrong with me? Close quote. Now you're asking, open quote, what happened to me? Well, close quote. Those are very different questions.